So the Democrats are about to end a 40-day government shutdown, the longest government shutdown in history, which probably sounds like a good thing. And honestly, it might have been if we didn't get absolutely fucking nowhere with the last 41 days. Let me explain how this all went down. On October 1st, Republicans said, let's reopen the government and we'll talk about healthcare later. And at that time, Democrats said, no, we want a guarantee that you will extend health insurance subsidies for 24 million Americans. So for 40 days, Democrats mostly held the line. While 750,000 federal workers didn't get paid, millions lost food stamps, flights were canceled all across the country, and people suffered. And then yesterday, Sunday, November 9th, some shicey-ass Democrats went rogue and voted with Republicans to reopen the government. And what did they get for that? The same fucking exact deal. The same deal that the Republicans offered on day one. And a little pinky promise to maybe have a conversation on it in December. And to explain a little further, ACA subsidies are basically a discount on health insurance. So if you don't get your health insurance through your employer, you have to buy it for yourself on healthcare.gov. And that shit is expensive. So the government offers subsidies to help people afford, staying alive. And the government does this because when the Affordable Care Act passed in 2010, which was also a good thing, it required insurance companies to cover people even if they were sick or had pre-existing conditions, which in turn drove healthcare costs up and made insurance more expensive. So, in order to keep regular schmegular people alive, the government offered subsidies to offset these extremely high costs. 24 million Americans rely on ACA subsidies right now. A lot of people don't even know they do. And they're set to expire at the end of next month, which will make the average person's health insurance bill double. And for some cowgirl math, that means if you're paying $700 a month for health insurance through ACA subsidies, next year you're looking at $1,400 a month, with many people getting even more screwed than that. About 2.5 million people are going to lose their ACA subsidies altogether, going from getting some life-saving help to zero help at all. And older people who can't yet qualify for Medicare, they're going to get hit the hardest. And with a MAGA House and Senate majority, we didn't have much leverage. But the government shutdown was leverage, because affordable health care is something worth fighting for. But then a couple of clowns folded like a beach chair, and they voted with Republicans to accept the same fucking deal we were offered 40 days ago. And that is why we are pissed. But the fight doesn't end here. You can share this video with a friend who needs to understand what's going on. And hit that follow button so you can come back for more direct actions and updates.
40 days later, the shutdown ended without real progress. No wonder people across the country are furious they carried the cost. Everyone's relief is mixed with frustration at how little changed.
Congratulations! The government will reopen. The House voted to reopen the government, and now Donald Trump just has to sign the bill into law that will reopen this government until January 30th. To those 8 Senate Democrats, I hope that you are ready for the ride that the American people will now have to go on. Because truth be told, I am concerned, and I don't want to sound insensitive. I don't. But to get right back to square one on January 30th would be a complete waste to what the American people have gone through for this long. The longest government shutdown in history. People's health care could double. Millions of people could lose their health insurance. When we end up back at square one, we are going to be wondering what was the point of all of this in the first place. I want the 8 Senate Democrats to make sure that they are the front line of making sure millions of people don't lose their health insurance. We have a promise that the Senate will vote on the healthcare subsidies. We have the House right now saying that they're not committing to a vote. So a vote in the Senate without a vote in the House is nothing. The government is reopening temporarily. In my mind, the government will be shut back down on January 30th because the Republicans are trying to sneak in this national ban on abortion in order to extend the healthcare subsidies. Who is going to agree to that? And if the Democrats, they want stricter restrictions on abortion rights. That's why we don't make promises.
People are relieved it's reopening, but the anger hasn't gone anywhere. Everyone's worried we might just end up right back at square one. Uncertainty is the only thing Americans are sure of right now.
A lot of people are disappointed that 8 Democrats broke ranks and voted with Republicans to end the shutdown. But I don't see why anybody should be surprised by any of this anymore. And what does reopening even mean, anyway? It had full flight schedules run again before the holidays, and air controllers and other federal employees get paid as they should. And meanwhile, the economy just limps along for the benefit of the select few that can afford to take advantage. Meanwhile, the rest of us are just trying to stay fed, housed, insured, and sane. Be a Debbie Downer, but I think we've about hit the shelf life of this republic at 250 years. Built on stolen land, built by enslaved hands, and written on paper that didn't even count everybody as fully human. We've spent centuries trying to patch a rotten foundation, and now the rot is outpacing the efforts to patch it up. And maybe the demolition we're seeing right now, maybe this is the only honest part of the story thus far. The old systems of society, civilized society, if you can call it that, fascism, capitalism, communism, only work for people at the top. In modern times, where have we ever seen a system where it's about people helping other people thrive? People are so quick to call community care and cooperation socialism, but maybe it's just survival with soul. Maybe it's time for us to start creating something that actually deserves to be called a republic.
People aren't shocked anymore, just exhausted. The frustration comes from feeling like the system keeps repeating itself. Americans want something that actually feels built to support them.
People are upset, and I'm not sure why. The government is reopened, right? I thought we were happy about that. But the Democrats are saying we shouldn't have caved. We should have had kept up the non-payment. People would have been okay without their SNAP benefits, and we should have got what we wanted. But since we didn't, we have been failed. And people are really upset. I mean, I say the left side, the right side, both sides do the same thing, which I expected. So I'm not tripping on that. And I'm not a real big political figure. This is more about the crash out that's happening. People are very unhappy that the government is opening up, and this is beyond me. I thought we wanted the government to open back up. I thought we needed people to get their benefits and all these other things like that. But no, people feel like the Democratic Party has failed them and they did not get the things that they set out to do. So why would we close for 40 days in the first place if y'all just gonna fold in the end? Which leads me to ask the questions of what is the real reason they closed down in the first place? I'm just wondering, if nobody got what they want out the deal, what is the real reason to keep us down for 40 days? Now I'm entering into conspiracy theory type stuff, and I don't want to go there, but crash out behind this reopening that's happening right now. So if y'all got any insights, y'all can let me know, because I'm just watching it unfold.
The mixed reactions show how disconnected expectations have become from the outcome. Most folks are just trying to make sense of why the struggle felt so long for so little change.
Government shutdown's over with, and it's a good thing, but not a good thing at the same time. Why is it a good thing? People who work in federal jobs are finally getting paid after weeks and weeks of not getting paid, so that's always good. Why it's bad? If you're already paying an arm for healthcare, get ready to cost up that leg too, motherfucker. Oh, and unless you're rich, then you're not getting a tax break, because the 1% always has to save their money, because that's who needs it most. The people making the most money need all the money. People are going to take this to blame conservatives and Republicans, which they should, but we should also get on every Democrat in Congress ass right now. You had people out this hole broke, starving, and some more shit, talking all that hot shit about Donald Trump, what the conservatives, Republicans were doing, only for now the government to be open. We're asking what the fuck, like what's going on? Yeah, we need to reach a compromise about something. This is all what it's about. Compromise on what? This country just likes fucking with everybody's lives. That's what I'm convinced at this point. Because we are continuously put in the worst and most goopy situations, and it's all preventable. Shit does not have to be hard over here, like at all. It is the people in charge making it hard. And for what fucking reason, I don't know. I know, never mind. It's greed. It's always fucking greed. It's money. It's always fucking money. It's always the money that they can have and we can't have. I'm just sick of this shit, man. Like, when is it gonna end? When is it gonna be a point where everyone in the country, I don't know, fucking everybody in the country, a new leader or something, when is it going to get to a point where us as American people see what the fuck is going on and realize, oh shit, none of this shit makes any fucking sense?
People are relieved the paychecks return, but the worry about rising costs is real. The shutdown ending doesn't erase the frustration everyone felt being dragged through it.
I have voted blue in every single election that I've voted in since I turned 18, and I'm starting to regret it. The Democrats have absolutely no backbone. If you look at what they're doing right now, caving to the Republicans, if you look at everything that they've let the Republicans do during this, like, whole thing, they have absolutely no backbone. They're just another side of the coin. Like, they're letting it happen. Occasionally they'll make speeches talking about how they hate what's going on, but they act like they can't do anything. And it's absolutely shameful. Like, I'm starting to think we all need to start voting third party, because the Republicans and the Democrats are both bad. If you sit back and let all of this happen without doing anything when you are in a position of power, you are no better than them. You are no better than them. It is shameful. It's shameful. I don't want to vote Democrat anymore. Like, I want to start voting third party because of this.
Political strength looks different depending on who's watching. It makes you wonder, what does backbone even mean in moments like this?
Okay, so I feel like there's a lot going on headline-wise in the news with the government reopening, but I wanted to give a breakdown on how it affects the working class people because they're still on the hook. So the Senate passed a bill to end the shutdown, but Republicans in Congress only agreed to a short-term patch. So it doesn't fix anything long-term. It just pushes the fight a few months down the road. So what does that actually mean for like health insurance, right? Coverage stays for now, but Republicans refuse to lock in protection. If they force another shutdown, premiums could go up and people could lose or delay coverage again. And then for SNAP, benefits turn back on because Republicans wouldn't support a full year funding deal. SNAP is still at risk though. So if they shut down the government again, payments can get delayed again. And then families are stuck. So they're basically living crisis to crisis. So yes, the government reopens, but Republican leadership chose a short-term deal instead of a real solution. And let's all remind ourselves that politicians get paid either way. Working class people get the uncertainty. So I just hope that that kind of like gives everyone a little bit of this is what's happening. Comment below what you think.
The government reopening helps, but the uncertainty still hangs over working families. Short-term fixes don't erase the stress of living crisis to crisis. It really raises the question, how long can people operate under constant uncertainty?
The bill to reopen the government has a hidden provision in it that will effectively destroy the hemp industry. Well, it closes a loophole from the 2018 Farm Bill. Do you want to get into it? Let's do it. So that 2018 Farm Bill made hemp growing legal by saying as long as the hemp that's grown contains less than 0.3% delta-9 THC, which is the main psychoactive ingredient in marijuana, it's legal. Yeah, but this turned into a massive loophole because there's other types of THC like delta-8. So what happened is chemists used this legal hemp that's under the 0.3% delta-9 and converted it into products that have like 20 milligrams of delta-8 THC, which still gets you high. So this new provision will prohibit hemp products of any type of THC, including delta-8, of more than 0.4 milligrams per serving. Well, the issue is that 0.4 milligram cap is so freaking low. Delta-8 is much milder and is used by many seniors, veterans, and those injured for calming and relaxation. Like certain gummies may have 6 milligrams of THC, so the U.S. Hemp Roundtable says this rule will ban 95% of the $28.4 billion hemp industry, jeopardizing more than 300,000 jobs. Well, the whole point of the Farm Bill was to legalize and regulate hemp for non-intoxicating purposes. Like hemp can be used for fiber, seed, paper, textiles, construction materials, and non-intoxicating CBD. But instead, the bill created this massive loophole that has made an under-regulated THC market where even in states where marijuana is banned, there are now hemp-derived delta-8 vapes being sold in gas stations. Well, what's happened is 23 states since then have implemented their own laws limiting THC in hemp products, and they're all well above that 0.4 milligrams. In Maine, it's 3. Kentucky, Minnesota, Utah, Louisiana, it's 5. Alabama and Georgia, 10 milligrams. Tennessee, 15 milligrams. So this bill goes against what those states have legislated to effectively end the industry. Look, the federal intent in 2018 was never to legalize intoxicants. So even if states have these limits, it's still contrary to congressional intent, which was always hemp for fiber, food, and CBD, not THC highs. This closes the loophole. Less intoxicants rather than more. Look, the hemp industry is willing to work on a regulatory framework that prevents these bad actors from creating these extremely high THC products that, yes, are being sold without a lot of regulation and ending up in the hands of children. Yes, but the way to solve that is not to eliminate the entire industry, which thousands of farmers have since begun growing as a cash crop since soybeans and other crops have been struggling. This will decimate Americans. I just think our world has enough dangerous, high-producing intoxicants, and closing loopholes to eliminate ones that were never even supposed to be legalized in the first place is good policy. Well, say goodbye to the industry. They can still grow hemp for other purposes. Oh yeah, you're keeping 5% of the market available. Great job.
Closing loopholes makes sense on paper, but the ripple effects hit real workers and growers. Are we fixing a problem or creating a bigger one for the people who rely on this market?
why is the market crashing right now? Or for those that are technical, it's just a simple, healthy pullback. But it's scaring some people because they have been doing well all year and they're wondering, do I take profits on Palantir? Do I take profits on NVIDIA? NVIDIA's earnings coming up. What are we doing? The government just reopened. Why are we selling? Right? And I wanted to ease your mind and your heart center to understand what's going on. All right. So right now, just because the Senate, the House, and President Trump have kind of reopened the government does not mean it's necessarily a good thing, because the Federal Reserve, Fed Chairman Powell, needs data to be able to make decisions on their next rate cut meeting, rate pause meeting, rate hike meeting. All right. The FOMC meeting. So in December, we're expecting another rate cut. However, if we don't have consumer price index or CPI reports, if we don't have jobs numbers, the Federal Reserve can't make any decisions. In the last Fed meeting, he talked about flying blind. So if I don't have enough data, I can't make any executive decisions. So more than likely, I'm going to pause or do a very light rate cut because I don't want to spur inflation in the economy out of whack. So that is why you're seeing that with all this good news, because everyone thought that, oh man, the government's reopening, we're going to just shoot to the moon bullish. Yes, we could pull back and then retrace back to the highs. However, right in the middle here, we're still forming lower highs on SPY, QQQ, and IWM, which are the indices that rule the market. The Dow Jones, right? The trusty old stocks, the boomer stocks, are starting to see some uplift, right? So all these AI stocks, all these hyper parabolic stocks are pulling back. So please be careful. However, do your due diligence, do your research. This could be a buying opportunity, but if you aren't on the charts, in my opinion, you're flying blind. So if you don't have a chart up, if you don't know how to read a chart, go check out my YouTube video on how to read a stock chart on Dr. Brian Trades. All right. See you all in the next video. If you like these types of videos here on TikTok, I'm just updating what's going on in the markets. Just a quick update. Please let me know down below in the comments. I'd love to hear you. Thank you all so much. Peace, love, and blessings. See you in the next one.
Reopening the government offers relief, but it doesn't erase the deeper issues people are worried about. It shows how working families feel caught between immediate needs and long-term problems. It's hard to celebrate stability when the systems behind it still need real fixing.
Man, it's like this whole blue wave didn't even matter. So the government shutdown is finally over, I guess, after 40 days. But let's be real. This deal is a straight up slap in the face to the American people. The Senate passed a short-term funding bill that reopens the government, but only until January 30th. So they basically hit the snooze button on another shutdown. And only a few departments, such as Veterans Affairs, the Department of Agriculture, which includes the SNAP program, and Congress itself, get a full year of funding. And everybody else? Well, they're back on the chopping block in less than 3 months. Now it has to move to the House for voting, and then it goes to the president's desk for signing. And the fact that the Democrats agreed to this without securing healthcare subsidies for millions of Americans is insanity. The Republicans basically said, yeah, we'll vote on that in December. But there's no guarantee that they'll actually do that. So now people's healthcare is political hostage again. 8 Democrats crossed over to help Republicans break this filibuster. Fetterman, Cortez Masto, Durbin, Hassan, and King, and a few others who aren't really seeking re-election, basically said, yeah, let's reopen the government now and hope that they keep their word later. Like, have they not seen? Couldn't they see that this deal gives the Republicans exactly what they wanted? They get to walk away saying, see, we ended the shutdown. They get a political win and an escape route from the mess they created. And now, instead of owning the chaos, they can spin the story and basically blame the Democrats for the shutdown and for whatever happens next with healthcare. So when millions lose their coverage next year, guess who's taking the heat? Not them. Congress made sure they got full year funding for themselves. But your healthcare? That's pending review. Make it make sense. The last shutdown this long was in 2018. 7 years later, and it's still the same story. Politicians play chicken while real people suffer. So the government's pretty much about to reopen, but it ain't gonna be fixed.
We got another shutdown cliff in January and a healthcare cliff in December, and a Congress that seems more interested in protecting its own paychecks than yours.
Another countdown to another crisis. Do you think this cycle ever ends, or is this just the normal now?
Wait, I thought this was a big Republican government shutdown. I thought the big despot in the White House was trying to starve the American people, and now they want to give them their SNAP benefits. And now the Democrats and their chirpers on social media are very upset. We bent the knee, we didn't get the ACA tax credits. Between giving health care to illegal immigrants, the fucking spending bills they want overseas so they can money launder with the, have zebras transition in Zimbabwe, and now the ACA tax credits. First of all, healthcare rarely goes down. Prices go down when the government subsidizes it. All this has been is a ruse so they could send more money, Democrats, to the healthcare companies who donate to their campaigns and line their fucking pockets. That's all this has been. So you're admitting now that you're complaining because it's been Trump's trying to starve the American people. Military members aren't getting paid. Federal workers aren't getting paid. You got to open the government because the American people are hurting. Now you're admitting, because you're bitching about it, that you, on that side, the Democrats, have had your foot on the American people because you... Okay, understood. Yeah.
The shutdown might be over, but the finger pointing definitely isn't. Do you ever notice how the story changes depending on who's telling it? What do you guys think of this entire situation?